a blasphemer. He was considered to be proud. He was considered to be arrogant. And he was considered to be stubborn. Because he was considered to be all of these things, for all intents and purposes, according to the word, he was considered to be an idolater. He was considered to be stubborn because he consistently healed people on the Sabbath day. And the scribes did not like that. He was considered to be stubborn because he consistently made himself equal with Elohim. Remember what he told him in the 10th chapter of John. He said, "Did thou say that I blaspheme because I saith that I am the son of Elohim?" He said, "Whom the Father has sent and sanctified, that I said I'm the son of Elohim." That's why he told me, say, "Ain't it written in your law, you Elohims?" Because they felt that he was being rebellious and that he was being stubborn, because they consistently told him, "Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this," and he did it anyway. That's why we have to sit back and you have to look at the perspective of the people at the time in the text. They did not view him as a humble man. That's not how they viewed him. They viewed him by his statements of being a proud, arrogant man. That's how they viewed him. They said, "This man just said before Abraham was, I am. How dare he?" This man said, "I and my Father are one. I work and my Father work." Now you put yourselves in their shoe. From their perspective, they saw him as being wicked. They saw him as being proud and arrogant, which takes us back to what we're looking at in Daniel chapter 4 along with this, when we see Nebuchadnezzar getting pushed into the wilderness with the wild beasts. And we notice that in Mark chapter 1, Hamashiach is made to be pushed away from men, to go in the wilderness, to be there with wild beasts, and he had to stay there until 7 times passed over. Now, remembering that Nebuchadnezzar's name means to the prophet that protects the crown. Nebo protects the crown. The prophet protects the crown. Hamashiach is that prophet that protects the crown. If he doesn't protect the crown, none of us can get a crown. So he has to protect it. He had to be protecting it by being humble. He had to be humbled by being pushed away from men and placed in this position. Because Nebuchadnezzar said, "My reason returned unto me, and my brightness returned after I was humbled." Well, we know after Hamashiach was humbled, these things happened to him. But of course, the first part of it, being pushed into the wild, happened before he did all this happened to him. So how does his reason and his wisdom return? Because when he came out the wilderness, he began to preach, that's what we went to Mark chapter 1 for anyway, and that just came to my head while we were looking at it. He said, "Repent, for the kingdom of Shamahim is at hand." When he was in that wilderness and he hadn't eaten for 40 days and for 40 nights, and then the Hashatan comes to try to get him to take his crown, but by doing what we were looking at Wednesday, by trying to take his inheritance, Hamashiach protected it by holding fast to the word. If you want to protect your crown, you have to hold fast to the word. That's why he said, "Repent and look at your first words." And he say, "Behold, he come quickly, protect your crown." The only way you can protect your crown is to do what he did. That means you're going to have to be humbled, and then you're going to have to stand firm and not sell your inheritance. Many people are selling their inheritance and not protecting their crown because they're looking for temporary instant gratification, things that make them feel good. That's why I say, if the prophets were in these days and times walking around, if the men who were in this book were walking around, if the prophets and the apostles and Hamashiach himself were walking around, the people would view them as being proud, arrogant men, because their confidence was never in man, but it was in Yahuwah. The majority of people who claim to serve Yahuwah do not have that level of confidence in. The book said Abraham believed Yah, knowing that Yah would call things that were not as if they were. That's how confident he was. My wife won't dead, but she gonna have a baby because Yah said she gonna have a baby. The average person doesn't have that level of confidence in Yah that they would. Joseph knew that he wasn't going to stay in that prison forever. He knew Yah would get him out of the prison. Hanai, Mishael, and Azariah say, "Hey man, if we got to burn in this fiery furnace, then so be it. Yah's able to deliver us. And if he's not able to deliver us, then praise Yah nonetheless." This is the level of confidence that they had in Yah. The average person serving Yah don't have that confidence. They don't have that. So because they don't have that, that's when their growth begins to be stunted. Do you know what I'm saying? And those who do have that, they're looked upon in a negative fashion, because people go to thinking you think you better than them. When you don't think you're anything. I just think that I'm me. And I just think that Yah is Yah, and he's going to be who he's going to be, and he's going to do what he says he's going to do, and he's going to do it when he feels like doing it. And you will know that it is him that done it. Nevertheless, when we turn around and we look at Nebo stooping and they carrying these burdens, now we can swing to Mark chapter 14. He said he wasn't able to carry the burden. So then we have to sit back and look at the people mocking him as they say he is not able to carry this burden. Actually, we have to look at Mark 15 for that, wouldn't we? Mark chapter 15 and about 16. Mark 15 and 16. He said they're burdened to the weary beast. When we turn around and we look at it, right? He said, "Come unto me, all ye that are heavy laden, and we'll give you rest." When we look at it, that we talked about this recently, that we are compared to being as brute beasts when we're carnal minded. And then we look at the things that we carrying, as we mentioned last week. You need to lay aside the weight that easily besets you. This stuff that you carrying is making you weary. It's weary for the beast, for that carnal minded individual, but you not letting it go. You know what I'm saying? You're not letting it go, truthfully, because you're trying to hold on to you. See, we don't really want to perish and let Hamashiach live in us, because you scared to let yourself go, because you don't really have that much confidence in Yah. You got more confidence in yourself than you do in Elohim. That's why you're not letting yourself go. That's why a lot of people don't let themselves go. They got more confidence in themselves than they do in God. How do you expect to prosper in him with that type of mentality? It's impossible. Because to let yourself go means you have to have some manner of vulnerability. And